Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Korean Starleague. We are in the second semifinal. We have another Terran versus Zerg coming your way. In the bottom left, you know him, you love him. One of the most absolutely terrifying Zergs in the history of StarCraft. He is Dark. I can use the word history, okay, guys? I can use the word history. StarCraft 2 has been out longer than Brood War was when StarCraft 2 was announced, which officially makes StarCraft 2 the older game, even though mathematically that doesn't make any sense. His opponent in the top right, oh, he's doing the Reaper thing. It's Gumiho. Literally just talking about this. We casted that other semifinal with Cure, and Terrans have been busting this out. Terrans have been busting this out a lot. Obviously I like Gumiho because he's creative, he's handsome, he's smart, and what really I find the most attractive thing about Gumiho is that when he spills something on the table at a restaurant, he actually like cleans it up. And if he has a wet wipe in his purse, he actually just wipes it off the table and keeps it nice and clean. It's just something that I've always respected about him. You know, he doesn't assume that the waiter's job is to clean up his messes all the time. He actually takes some ownership over his own sloppiness, and I just can't think of anything that makes me respect a man more than taking accountability. Is there anything hotter than that? I don't think so. But Dark might try to show that with his little Ling opening. So Dark went for a really fast Lings. If you did a Reaper expand, you could be totally boned by this. This build is one of the reasons why the Reapers are a thing now, because for the Zerg player, the Lings can't do anything. There's a wall. Like, you're just not doing anything with this. So they're kind of stuck. He can try to counterattack and be annoying, but there's not much he can really do. And for the Terran player, yes, there's a fast queen. Yes, there are fast Lings. But if you're the Terran player, there's no third base. The third base is really late. What is the point of this build? What is the point of this build? Anyone? Bueller? To delay the third base of the Zerg? Yeah, exactly. Because any Zerg worth their salt will build queens and eventually get speed if they see that you're going for a lot of Reapers. Like, it's not a surprising response. So you're just gonna sit here and attack this hatchery because this is actually the only real thing he can do. He could go into the main and then the queens will trade. Maybe Lings will come back. You know, there's a couple ways it could go wrong. But just keeping these here and being annoying is the best thing, because you don't want the Zerg to start spreading creep. I think that's the more important thing here. So for Dark, he's keeping it chill. He doesn't want to burn the queen energy because he knows that if he tries to go take his third base, he's going to have to march these queens off, or he's going to need to make a lot of Lings with speed. His speed is getting close. He's making 8 more Zerglings. So this all plays into what we already know about the game. He's lifting the barracks for vision too, which gets dangerous because we do have these 6 Lings that have been waiting all game. And with speed, he can actually get in and ruin his day. So Gumiho needs to be counting the drones. He's like, look, you don't have workers on your natural, so you must be doing something else. But he's more than happy to keep the Reapers here, even if the only thing that they do is just delay creep spread a little bit, because that's the secondary role. You want to deny the third, delay creep spread. If you get kills with the Reapers, like, I know obviously you would want to say that the goal is to get kills, but it's usually asking for too much. So if you can't shut down the Reapers until you have Ling speed when you go for a build that's not super economic, then you can see that Gumiho, worker wise, very close. But Dark, this is exactly what he loves to do. He's so good at using lots of units and being aggressive, and in a way that allows him to deal with the aggression. You know, he's one of the, if Gumiho is like the number, let's say 3 or 4 Terran, arguably, let's say that Gumiho is arguably number three Terran, right? We'll say that Maru and TY. I mean, TY just came out of retirement, so I don't know if that's really fair, but a lot of people don't want to give Gumiho that credit because he's not boring enough of a player, I guess. You'd think winning GSL would do it, but that only counts if your name is Cyril. So unfortunately, Gumiho winning GSL did not magically mean that he's one of the best players ever, although I think that he is, because he's an absolute god. But Dark, if we were talking about Zerg players of all time, I mean, Dark I think he's a good contestant for third, right? I wouldn't put him over Raynor or Cyril personally, but You've got two players that are both extremely, extremely good, except, of course, you don't really have that non-Korean competition for Terran. I love the drop, by the way. Grab the Overlord, barely escape, bleed one Marine, and get the shutdown. That's very nice. And now Hellions come up to try and poke the creep and maybe deal with the Lings. But what are we seeing here? Dark's going roaches. So we talked about that match where Cure played some pretty heavy Hellions because there were no roaches made the whole match. But now Dark is saying, bro, your wall off is your stim. Your wall off is your barracks. He knows this is high value. High value. I mean, even if that's all he does is kill that and go home, that's a colossal win. So he kind of pinches the Lings here. The Ravagers sort of get caught, but the roaches are going to get the reactor. So the wall is open and Stim is just exposed. Oh no. Oh no. Physical pain. And then Hellions fighting roaches also gives me physical pain. I take real life damage from that. I take actual IRL damage. I can feel my HP slipping down. My insurance company just called to tell me that I don't have insurance, but if I did, my lowered HP would raise my rates. How crazy is that? That quote spam in the email gets live updated as you commentate StarCraft. It's beautiful. So he jumps out of the bunker, dodges the bile, tries to get the salvage on that one, and the Liberators with the tank can kind of buy time. But this is the dream scenario for Dark. Like, Dark has just put himself into such a beautiful spot. He was so ready to deal with the Reaper wall off at the front, and he's got his 3 bases set up. He's fully saturated. There's 2 Hellions here, but I think 1 Queen can kind of deal with this. Yeah, he's got Lings too. There's nothing doing there. So I think if you're Dark, you just stay outside of Gumiho's base. You don't let him leave. The biggest thing is delaying the 3rd. Gumiho has a 3rd command center. If Dark can take his 4th and deny the first attempt Gumiho makes at landing this 3rd base, then I don't see any possible way that Gumiho is gonna outplay Dark from that position, because I think that they're a little bit too close. I think they're a little too close skill wise for that to go that way. But he just comes up, he's gonna buy all the Liberators. Okay, he gets both. Lings will trade out onto the bunker. SCVs do get pulled, but he doesn't have vision up the ramp. He does not have vision up the ramp to hit the tanks. The Lings get in from the behind, though. There's the Biles. Top tank gets picked. Biles the second one down, and that's GG, baby. Dark takes game number 1. I have to say, definitely an interesting way for that one to go down. Definitely an interesting way. Let's go to game 2. I do have spoiler-free replays and stuff for this, so doing the tournament live at 11 p.m. is a little bit difficult for me, so I hope you guys are enjoying getting to see some high-level StarCraft here, because these games are great. They deserve to be commentated, and I am here to do that. I am here to talk about the games while they are played, and to hopefully say something that either is informative or hilarious, whether it's at my expense or yours. So let's find out who wins this one, huh? In the bottom right, we have the red Zerg player. He is Dark. Currently up 1-0 in this best of 3. He faces off against the blue Terran player. Looks like we might be seeing that Reaper expand again. He is Gumiho. Sorry, I like to box the workers. I'm a freak. I'm still playing StarCraft every day. 12 years later, I'm still grinding SC2 every day, like my life depends on it. The reality is, there's just not that many games that you can play that many times. They're still fun. Every game of StarCraft in its own way is kind of unique in that sense. You know, it's like every game of StarCraft has its own MD5 hash, literally, because of how replays work, right? So no 2 players have ever created replay files with the exact same MD5. That's how I like to say no 2 exact same games of StarCraft have ever been played. You know, if they could do it perfectly, then shouldn't they match? Cryptographers, please don't respond to that comment. I'm just trying to make a point. All right, I'm trying to make a point without having to actually back it up with stats. That's what I'm doing here, but at least I'm being honest with you about it. So it's the Reaper thing again at the front, and this is just such a fun build because it is a weirdly defensive strategy. Like, this build leaves you the ability to not only gut check your opponent. We do have, by the way, very fast Roach Warren from Dark. Only 12 drones mining minerals as 6 lings go across the map. But you have the wall off. So building the command center, you don't have to worry about getting backstabbed. There's no reason you should ever lower these depots until you're done with the Reaper phase of the game. But against roaches, there's a little bit more poking you can do. If there's no ling speed, then there's not really any way that the Zerg can stop the Reapers out on the map. That's one of the reasons why this build is so annoying if you play Zerg, because, you know, roaches... Can roaches trade against Reapers? Sure. But there are a lot of games where we've seen in the past a player that builds too many roaches or doesn't get ling speed, they get booped around by the grenades, they eat a couple shots crossing the map, and then it doesn't turn into too much until you get to the other side of the map and you realize, oh my gosh, my units are not at full health. And I actually can't afford to turn them all into Ravagers or something like that. So you get this. The Roach, it has 4 range. The Reaper, it has 5 range. So it's not easy micro, but these guys are pros. So this is what they do. This is literally what I was just talking about. So you can just wear the roaches down as they cross the map. And if they try to turn into Ravagers, then you just attack them. So if you are Dark, you just have to make this really slow, painful crawl. And he might actually... Oh! 12 health, not bad. So he does have to turn that transformation a little bit early. Of course, the other roaches are a little more exposed as a result. Now the lings are trying to come in from the backside, but he can just go up that cliff. So I think that's the move. Go up the cliffs, take it around town. And even if this is still a tough attack, he's now had time to build the bunkers. Compared to game 1, there's nowhere near as many Ravagers. It's just 2. And he's going to continue to try and poke with the Reapers away from the wall. I think that's the right move, because if everything is in the same spot and together, then I think the biles for zoning become a little too powerful. But, like, what can you really do with this wall? Like, the Marines can't reach it. So, yeah, he just floats it back, and I think that was his only option. He floats the wall back. He just completely gives it up and says, all right, well, let's just use the bunkers as the front. But that doesn't mean that Dark is going to stop. Just because Gumiho was willing to give up some space doesn't mean he's going to stop, so... Back home, he has a cyclone building from a factory. And here's the biggest thing. Dark has not taken a third. He hasn't taken a third base. There are Reapers in his base, and it looks like some drones are going to die. This is very big for Gumiho. So 2 drones killed. It puts him ahead on workers. And now killing those lings makes it a little bit easier for him to come up here and deny the third base. Oh, so a 2-base Zerg versus 2-base Terran. We have a Roach Warren and ling speed about a third done. There's nothing else. He doesn't have a lair. He doesn't have evolution chambers. He doesn't have a baneling nest. Looks like the Ravagers should be able to kill at least one of the Reapers, maybe 2. He steps back. There's a lot of overlords that have been rallied across the map here, by the way. I just want you to know. The Viking pilot inside me, the one that I ate for breakfast, he's screaming about going to kill those overlords. I'm not letting him out, though. Too much protein. So 3rd command center coming in for Gumiho, double engineering bay. Very kosher, very straight up, very standard follow-up. He did his Reaper thing. He held the counterattack. Last game, the counterattack cost him everything. This game, he did a much better job handling it. I like Dark's vision, though, because it does give him a clear line of sight over the main paths to his base, right? Over there, through this little pitch in the middle. He's got vision on the bottom side, and he can kind of see both of the primary exits for Gumiho's army. So because of that, I mean, Dark is still in an okay playable spot. I think economically, he really wanted that 3rd base much faster, and his Ravager attack didn't do as much as it needed to. So for Gumiho, here's what I like. 1-1, stim. All the way up to 5 racks immediately, right? Or 4? Is it 4 barracks? No, he's 5 because he has one of the naturals. So he's up to 5 racks already. He's got 3 command centers. He's got engineering bays. All he really needs to do is get the starport with the reactor and an armory, and then everything is mostly set for the rest of the game. Cyclone cannot hit this overlord from the low ground, though. He doesn't have the vision. Dark retreated and then spread the overlords out again. So if you look, you can see that he's got still this great coverage of vision. He can see everything. And it looked like he maybe wanted to pull back a little bit there because of the cyclone. He did get ling speed, but he actually does not have Zerglings. So he's been mostly cranking out drones while he goes up to lair. And now he has his 1-1 coming in. Now he's getting Roach speed. But Gumiho's about a solid minute ahead of him in terms of the upgrades. I don't think that Gumiho's going to be forcing a fight anytime soon. This is just one of those early games where Gumiho kind of saw, you know, he heard the voice of God. He's like, oh yeah, I hear the bells calling to me. And then he realized he didn't want to die. So he decided to do the right thing and kind of chill, sit back, not commit anything. But this is a lot of Marines. This is going to be a crazy amount of 1-1 Marines. And he doesn't want to show all of them yet. But the Overlord, yeah, he knows. He's like, you got a lot of bio. But he doesn't have a Baneling nest yet. So if it's just going to be Roach Ravager to deal with pure Marine with an upgrade advantage, that's scary. But I don't think Gumiho's going to attack him before the upgrade advantage is gone. I say that. He's getting ready to move out right now. Then it's a thin window. He's got 50 seconds before it's tied up. And now Dark is just absolutely cranking out the roaches. So he's going for his 4th base. It is 3 versus 3. Typically, this favors the Terran pretty heavily. There's a lot of bio with Stim. 1-1 is still not done for the Zerg. If these Marines have a 2 upgrade advantage and go head-to-head here, I think things get ugly very quickly. But buying time pretty well for himself so far is Dark. He's also going for +1. For Burrow, excuse me, and Nidus. So if this attack fails, he's going to get Nidus wormed real bad. Overseer's kind of here chilling on the edge. Gumiho can see it. He's going to scan and try to kill some creep. I like that. The Cyclone double Reaper in the medevac. And now he's like, I'm going to follow you. And then he turns around. That was kind of cute. Nothing really happened there, but it was adorable in a way. Can this depot see the Overlord? Yeah, I think if you see an Overseer at the edge of your base doing this, to me, this just screams, I'm going to put a tunnel in your back door. I'm going to force a worm inside of your base. There's no reason people siege these outside of your vision like that. Well, it's in his vision, which makes it worse. But with no Banelings, this should be like get on top of him and kill him. That is what I'm expecting. Can he get it done though? The Nidus network is done. He has the vision, but he needs everything at home to stop this push. I just don't think it's there. It's too many Marines, right? Oh, there's the transfuse. He's got the burrow. All the roaches can do their little burrow shenanigans. We got a counterattack towards the 3rd. Roach is going to be going under the ground. The Bile's trying to hit the tanks. If the Ravagers could survive this fight, that would be tremendous. But the roaches are all getting burned down. These guys are about to pop out in this base. It looks like maybe get some SCVs, but they need to unburrow. They need to actually start drawing his attention. There we go. Finally. And as this hatch gets popped, all I can think of is, oh, every Ravager that dies being extremely painful. Start the Nidus, start the Nidus, start the Nidus. He's got 2 burrowed roaches inside of the main base. This is it. It's Nidus time. That doesn't work. I can't just say that and it appears. It's Nidus time. No. Okay, the roaches are still in the main. The roaches are still in the natural. He's burned all of his scans. It's Nidus time? Question mark? Well, there's nothing in the network, Nate. So why? Yeah, why wouldn't you want to take a direct assault against 2-2 bio and siege tanks? Why wouldn't you? Yeah, I think Dark's dead now. Oh, there it is. There it is. So he's finally doing it as the push kind of begins. Deals with the roach in his main base. There are some bio units there because of that. So let's see what happens as the roaches unload. It's no longer even on upgrades. So he just kind of funnels them in and then steps back, uses the scan. And he gets the worm, but there are still roaches inside of his base. So that's very annoying. He's going to have to scan at least one more time to get these roaches. Will he, though? Will he, though? No, he won't. So here's where it gets interesting. 2-2 is done for the Roach Ravager. So finally, we're getting upgrade parity. And perhaps the more interesting thing is that 3-3 never began for Gumiho. He's only starting it now. So he doesn't have that upgrade advantage at all, like we talked about. Oh, there you go. The roaches, they're going through the floor. How do they tunnel through a depot that's lowered into the ground? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Should be against the Geneva Conventions, but here we are. Oh, these roaches are still here. I'd drop a worm in the corner. Gumiho doesn't have vision of this space. I would have loved to see a worm there. But he's going to cut the roaches in the main base. And suddenly, Gumiho has not been able to go across the map in a long time. He's just not been able to go across the map at all. So he's going to scan for the burrowed roaches. He will get them all. Does this guy still have vision of the main? No. I'm like, overseers in siege mode have a lot of vision, but not that much. So Dark, I mean, he basically bought himself a new life with the burrowed roach play. 73 drones to 58 SCVs, 5 base versus 3. The 5th base, I mean, this is like a macro hatch, so we could say it's a fourth base, right? It's 4 bases versus 3. Well, okay. And then like 20 supply of roaches just burrow tunnel into tanks and marines and die. Well, this is going to decide it right here. Gumiho is either going to just A-move through everything, or he's going to eat a ton of biles and get completely swallowed up. I don't feel like there's too many other options. The biles have thus far been doing a ton of damage out of the medevac, though, forcing the tank pickups. Marines are trying to spread out behind it. And there we see the first siege up force. Now, that was definitely important. Dark is trying to keep this valley clear, and there is only one creep tumor, so he's trying to hold it. Now look at this infestor. The infestors are on the high ground, so he's saying, look, if you're going to try and go down this ramp, if I could launch a fungal down here onto a clump of bio. Oh, he's going to go for it. He's going to go for it. Oh, from downtown gets 3 medevacs, a bunch of marines. I didn't know the 3rd medevac was going to die. I just said it. Oh, did he move the roaches to the tank and then unburrow so the tanks would friendly fire and blow it up? I don't know what to say, guys. It's a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game of StarCraft we're getting ourselves into here, is what it seems like. Let's not forget, if he could get to like Nidus or something. Oh, what? Is he still just trying to like trickle in roaches? I didn't even see a roach. Oh, nope, there's another one. He's using it for vision, huh? He's like, I see you. Keep scanning. Oh, he's going to build a turret behind it. That's what happens. So the Ravagers are all holding the main ramp, trying to drop some biles, maybe? Where's the infestor? He doesn't want to do a bile without fungaling first. That's fair. Huge roach counterattack. I don't think he goes for the flank. I don't think he can break this, but I do not see a whole lot of opportunity. He's just going to be looking for another fungal bile combo because that is what he needs to win this game. Looks like another one of the siege tanks. The Marines are still continuing to push forward, though, and the reinforcements have caught the roaches. They're only 2-2. Guys, these roaches are 2-2 versus 3-3 bio. It may be time to stick a fork in it. It may be time for us to think about game number 3. I feel like Dark has been playing from behind all game long, and he's done a really good job of giving himself a few opportunities, but this is just too many siege tanks. It's too many tanks to overcome with roaches. It's too many tanks to overcome with roaches. I feel like we can all agree. If he didn't build the turret, then I kind of like the burrow play, but if he's got stable detection with his army, I just don't know how I don't know how you engage. He has to go for a full surround. Look, he's here. He's here. He's here. This is it. It's going to be a giga sandwich. Now, the fungal does hit the medevac. So killing the medevacs, I think, is a really, really nice grab. Would definitely burn into the income before the next wave of army comes up. But that right side just gets completely chewed apart. The infestor gets killed as well. Dark kills his own creep tumor on accident. And this hatchery, I mean, I feel like you could just give it one shove with your shoulder and you probably knock it over. And by probably, I mean definitely. So drop some biles. I don't even think he gets a tank there. G is called, and Gumiho ties this series up 1-1. I'm going to get us into game number 3 in just a second, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty good match, huh? Pretty fantastic series. I wasn't sure if we had, I know they do fake replays when the series are only like 2-0, so I don't actually know if I need the 3rd replay because I don't have time data on it, but let's go. Let's find out how this one ends. Been a pretty banger series, I'd say. I'll say it's been a hell of a series. And the winner goes up to face off against Cure from the previous best of 3. So in the bottom right, currently tied at 1-1, we have the red Zerg player. He is Dark. He loves the roaches. Sometimes he hates the roaches. His opponent in the top left, the blue Terran player, who's opened with Reapers every game in this series so far, is Gumiho. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I think. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. It's obviously gonna be the Reaper build. I guess this is just a standard meta build now, since it takes away a lot of agency from the Zerg. The thing about Zerg is that you can't ignore this build. If you try to just do a regular old greedy opener, and this is a very interesting way to wall this off now. Is he going to use a third barracks, or did he... What? Why would you not want the wall done? Why not put the barracks here? Am I crazy? Is it because of the add-on? He wants to wall this with the add-on later and he'll put a bunker here? I don't know. That doesn't really make sense. We'll find out. We'll find out, I'm sure. Next episode of Dragon Ball Z. We just got to let Goku scream for another 20 minutes straight, and then we'll find out what he's going to do. It's certainly one way to go about it. Yeah, I just wanted to wall it off there. I don't know. I guess he wanted the bunker here so that it could protect the add-on. If this is going to be stim, then you want the bunker right here. If Gumiho builds the bunker here later on, then we can call Nathanias a wizard. But otherwise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So Reapers are coming out. That's not very surprising. But like I was saying, if you're dark, you can't play crazy greedy against this. As we've seen, opening with just roaches doesn't really give you a whole lot against it either. So it's one of those games. So I like going for the early speed and just getting the surround on the Reapers so that you can just go forward into a normal game. But a lot of that hinges on whether you get that third hatchery up. And if he doesn't open with the roaches, then obviously getting the third hatch is difficult. But as we saw in game 2, if he opens with the roaches, then he can't afford to build the third hatchery as early as he would want either. So these lings are just trading their hit points for time, trying to get the queen out about 3 or 4 seconds away. And he does get a ling kill there. Every ling that dies right now makes it so much worse if he ever were to get speed. And he still can't afford ling speed either. He's just about to have the gas for it. So these Reapers are going to keep him contained for a little bit. We see a lot of Terrans stop at 3 Reapers. I think if you smell blood in the water or feel like you need more Reapers, you can get them. But a lot of guys try to go for the follow-up into Stim. So they don't want to build a ton of Reapers because they're thinking about, why? What? Come on. Really? After this whole conversation, after everything I said, are you kidding me, bro? The Reapers are going to make their way back out of the main base. Are you kidding me, bro? Really? Really? You guys ever play Resident Evil? You know how like the big bad boss always has its heart attached to its outside? Gumiho, you're not Wesker. What? You could have tucked it in. You could have tucked in the stim. I mean, he's clearly not in danger of having his stim canceled right now, but I have been emotionally traumatized by game 1 and also game 2. You guys have watched this whole series if you're still here, right? I feel like you're all aware that him putting his tech lab with stim as exposed as possible has not been a winning move. Do we all agree? It's just, it makes me anxious. It makes me anxious. There's no roaches this game though, and ling speed came in pretty late. So Dark went for the, I'm gonna try and just survive this defense and not worry too much about it for real. So Overlord comes in, he sees the factory timing. This is really important. It tells him A, that there's another barracks over here because obviously the wall off is with 2. And he does lose the Overlord, which kind of sucks, but knowing the factory timing is always important. I think as a Zerg or a Protoss or a Terran, you always want to know when the Terran gets a factory. There are so few things they can do without the factory, but once the mines come into play and Hellions are on the back of your mind, then you got to worry about all sorts of stuff. So ling speed is ready. Dark is going to send out a paltry force, just 7 lings. He doesn't have a lot. Stim is about to finish, so I don't think Gumiho's in any danger. He's also got his ramp covered very well. So these lings come up, he sees it. He sees that stim and he thinks to himself, oh man, if only I had a way to get on that. He doesn't. I don't think you want the lings to get tucked in here. You don't want to get completely cut off. But meanwhile, this gives Dark the opportunity to do what he wants to do, which is drone up, get a lair, build some roaches, get some lings. Okay, well, if he's building roaches and lings, why not another Overlord? Okay, maybe. On one hand, I think he's worried about a naked stim attack because that is something that Gumiho has done before. He'll just build a bunch of Marines and go for it. We saw Cure do that actually in his series as well. So maybe these guys were watching that. Maybe they're aware of it. But these big bio move outs with very low tech. Even Gumiho doesn't make it that low tech though. He's got a lot of Marines, but the medevacs are, I think his plan is to have them join the army. Dark doesn't have a Baneling nest. So the Marines can kill everything with good control, good micro, target fire, stutter step, etc. Like this is enough bio. this is enough bio to kill a lot. So it really is just going to boil down to the position he can get himself in. Even the medevac bringing 5 more Marines over just to make sure he has the absolute maximum amount of firepower available here. Burrow, roach speed on the way, but none of it's done yet. There's no upgrades. There's no 1-1. I think really you just want to get the creep spread. And if you can get all the tumors, take the fight, focus down the queens, try to do roach burrow micro mid fight. Well, he doesn't have burrow yet, so he can't. That's unfortunate. Lings coming in from the back, but they are not going to do anything. And we see Marines, man, when you get the man with the gun up front, you can do a whole lot. So most of the roaches get shoot out, a lot of the Lings. But you know, Dark still had 10 workers. And the biggest takeaway for me is that Gumiho's third base is extremely late. He kind of wanted to kill him there. And Dark's awareness to start building roaches so long ago and prepare for this is really impressive to me, because he's got a 4th base now. So if you're Gumiho, you have to shut this down. You absolutely cannot be on 2 base versus 4, or you are super dead. So that's why he's YOLOing in. That's why he's bringing everything. And that's why I think it's worth it for Dark to bring everything to try and push him off. Because the reason this tank isn't going to siege, he absolutely has no intention of staying and fighting. He just wanted to kill that 4th, get out of dodge. The queens, however, look at that beautiful position. Already thinking about what his opponent would do to try to get to that next spot. And here's maybe where you could try to siege this tank, but I don't see it. So once again, 4 base Zerg. It's a macro hatch until he gets drones there, but it's still a pretty good spot for him to be in versus a 2 base Terran. He has the 3rd orbital, but he needs to float it over. So it's not a real 4th base. It's not a real 3rd base. The low eco, scrappy. But I feel like Dark's gotten the better of Gumiho this game so far. The drops are the big thing, because we haven't seen mutas this series. We haven't seen the Hydras tremendously early. And I mean, you see that there's burrow available on those roaches, and you have got to be a little bit on edge. So he drops. He does his best to manually pick up the tank. You see, Gumiho does not want to siege his tanks. He doesn't want to commit the tanks with the drop. That will be the sign that he's looking for the decisive damage. His 1-1 is almost ready. His concussive shell is finishing up, so Marauders will be better against the roaches and really everything. Concussive shell is just a generally good upgrade to get, mostly because it costs nothing. And it researches faster than, what, every other Terran upgrade? Concussive shell used to be built in on Marauders back when I was 18. A long time ago now. You just built Marauders and they just instantly killed everything. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. They just came out with slow. You didn't even have to research it. I used to make a lot of Marauders. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So Dark has Lings spread out in the main. He's got his Baneley Nest getting speed at the edge of the 3rd base, but the way that he has spread his creep and the way that his vision is arranged, Dark can see his whole half of the map, right? Nothing really gets by him. I think the only blind spot is if a medevac went around the left side out of the range of the tower. He could come in and try to drop here or unload here, but even that's still a little far away. So he's mostly focused on his new bases, taking this one, taking this one. I think the Baneley Nest is at mild risk in that position, but since Gumiho is very defensively postured right now, and you look at that, you're like, oh my god, he just burrows a random Ling outside my base? What kind of psychopath does that? Now I have to scan constantly. You don't know if there's burrowed Banes, you don't know if there's burrowed roaches. Well, we know that Tunneling Claws has not been researched yet. But look at these Lings. Look at these Lings running around, okay? This is the National Geographic sponsored portion of the cast. The beautiful Zerglings prance around in circles in anticipation of prey falling from the sky. It's beautiful. It's like the Sarlacc pit, right? You're just hoping someone falls in there. They're never coming out. We do have the ghosts get 2 snipes off on the Ravagers. He's got a big spread. It's so difficult because you try to come through this choke point and then you clear out some of the creep, but the tumors are still on that northeast side, which makes it very, very, very difficult to get into a spot where you can actually, you know, move because he'll still get surrounded by the Ling Bane. If he steps up onto this position, there's the Ravagers and Roaches are going to hit from the north and the south. And it looks like he's getting ready for a counterattack. So there is a burrowed Ling blocking the 4th expansion of Gumiho. So he's going to try and get that next economic leg up. Some bio here to push the creep tumors back outside that 5th base. And this is what we were talking about, though. It is a lot. It's a lot from Dark. Gets out of the range of that ghost snipe, though. I always forget that they made it so you can run away from snipe now. It's a lot harder to land. A lot harder to land those steady targeting shots. So the Zergling stops him from burrowing. He sends the Marines down to clean it up. But the Zergling is still burrowed there. He almost loses those Marines. And now he's going to get sandwiched in the choke point. Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Banelings coming from every direction. Parasitic bomb on the Medivacs, and going through the slow zone makes it so hard to escape. Oh my goodness. Dark might just kill Gumiho right here. Somehow sandwiched him in the dead center of the map. Gumiho completely caught off guard. GG, Dark takes the 2-1.